Everyone, welcome back to Breaking Barriers, where we talk to smart minds, shifting the boundaries of what's possible and all the things that are next. Today, we are diving into one of the most fundamental shifts in technology, in marketing, in digital at all, the transformation of the holy grail of the holy internet, search. Joining me is Mustafa Al-Bermani. Mustafa, did I say it right?
You did. Mustafa
So
Al-Bermani. Yep.
great. Welcome to the show. You are the founder of Goody AI. You're also a strategist and someone who's been early and often vocal about how LLMs will be breaking the classic SEO model. I had the pleasure meeting Mustafa in Austin, Texas, where he talked about the platform shifts, the impact of Reddit, zero-click experiences. Mustafa, welcome.
Well, thank you for the intro. Very generous.
How's how's the weather in New York?
It's raining right now, but we've had a nice wave of 70-degree weather. I don't know what that is in Celsius, but it's been good weather. It's been good weather.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Mustafa, it was really great having you on the show. Last time we met again, it was in Austin, and you gave an interesting speech. You've been part of a panel, and you talked about basically the everything search, how search will change, how search in combination with LLMs will change. So you also talked about the product behind all these movements that you guys created and you as a founder created. Can you give a little background why you are in that space and what led you to create a product, LLMs, working with LLMs, discovering the space, etc.?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I've been in search most of my life, right? Like the past 15 years, I've been in search from sort of being in search teams in Silicon Valley to being in New York and doing search for various banks and different SaaS companies. And in the past 7, 8 years, we've been running No Good, which is already an acquisition and retention growth agency in New York. So search has been really at the heart of a lot of the work that I've done throughout my career. The past, I would say, 3 years, we've been focused on social search and AI search. It's an area like this is an emerging discipline within search. It's always been there, but it's rapidly growing. In 2022, we were one of the first companies to write about the shift in social search and how TikTok is being used by Gen Zs. Actually, we wrote about this in Feb 2022. Google came out and admitted it in July 2022. So we put out a study on that after doing a bunch of surveys for Gen Zs on TikTok, and just around search behavior there. And then obviously with the launch of ChatGPT, we started paying attention to what does that mean for search as a use case, and then we went deep on that use case, and from teaching about it and in different forums like Reforge. It's an incredible community. Maven, now we have a course on it. We put the first curriculum on AI search and AI search optimization and how that impacts SEO and content marketing. Um, and then for Goody AI, we thought that there is an underlining shift. I think maybe we can take a step back and think why this matters. And I think there is an underlining shift. You talked about the zero click experience and how we have moved from conventional search engine to answer engines. You used to get a bunch of blue links, and now you're getting the answer summarized based on the prompt they gave, and you're getting a highly personalized, summarized answer. And so the search behavior has significantly changed there. And then the other piece, we're also moving into action engines, where we're seeing platforms like Manos or Operator within ChatGPT that takes an action on your behalf, but also all the agents that we've been talking about for the past 2 years now are essentially taking actions of a human. There's a human in the loop, and these agents are taking action. And search is a key, I would say, a key component of a lot of these actions. including deep search. When you actually do deep search, it's essentially an agent that does multiple searches for you, brings back the information, summarize it, and tells you, here's what you asked for. I've gone out there and did search in your behalf. I'm bringing you back the information. So from conventional search engine, blue links, archival, referral engine, to answer engine, where you're having a conversation with an LLM that is sort of really um, understands the sort of unlocked reasoning and semantic understanding of the words that you're putting out, and then to action engines, where based on that reasoning and based on the conversation that you have, you can take an action, and that's an underlining shift in how we use and digest and consume information on the web, and that's why we need a new playbook and a new tech stack of how we should be navigating brand discovery and visibility on that shift. So.
Mustafa, because you've been mentioning it, just weekdays ago, for some people, Google's AI mode has landed like a meteor on the traditional SEO landscape. For instance, searching French Revolution now doesn't return simple search results, but it returns a tidy 512 world AI summary without the need of clicking further. Organic traffic, ad impressions, affiliate marketing. I assume all of these industry participants will take some massive hits. Are we witnessing here a slow death of classic SEO? What do you
Uh,
think?
I don't know if I don't want to use the word death of SEO or SEO is dead, because that has been used way too many times in the space. I think maybe it might be rebirthing of SEO in a different way. It might be an evolution that makes SEO fundamentally different. I have an issue with just calling it search engine, just because we no longer it's about a search. It's no longer just a search engine. It's a I think the as I said, we there is an action now that is being taken. There is a lot more that goes into it. So we don't want to be like sort of really stuck with that SEO dogma that we've learned over the past 25 years of being with Google, right? Um, but regardless of what we call it, whether SEO is dead or rebirth, I think there's an underlining shift. And that shift is you have a big referral engine, which is Google, that sends us a bunch of traffic. And we've built a lot of industries around it. And right now, this referral engine is the experience is shifting, just like it shifted in the past. But there is a fundamental shift here of how users are digesting and finding information on the web. And LLMs like Gemini, which is going to be like soon enough running all of the Google experience. If it's not already, it's already running AI overview like Gemini, ChatGPT, and Claude. These models are slowly becoming the gateway of a gatekeeper of information on the web. So I think the shift here is that we have models like ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Gemini and Claude are slowly becoming or actually rapidly becoming the gatekeepers of information on the web. So, in order to, if you want to ask a question, find something, learn about something, you're more likely to go to them now than you're going to Google. And obviously, this is a biased room here between me and you, right? We both, I don't think that's just shift that happened in the wider sort of web here, but we're rapidly shifting to that behavior. We're going to these models to get our questions answered and have a conversation where we're walking away with finding the intent that we walked in with in that experience answered, and that's what search is about. So informations are digested and consumed differently, and we just need to pay attention to that shift and see what we can do in order to get our brands discovered and visible in that new sort of experience that was just emerged over the past 2 years.
S- So, when you say authority, what does it mean in the context of search, of uh, Google search, AI or AI search?
Like, if we're talking about visibility, that's the word that I used. I think authority can be a factor in defining visibility, but I want to break down the word authority a little bit more, because I just don't think it can be a little bit complicated to unpack here, because I think the essentially, like, you have citations and mentions about your brand. What we used to call link building back in the day, right now is just a mention, and the sentiment of that mention matters. And the context of that mention matters, and the niche that you operate in, and who would like and what you're known for. The entity recognition matters, which is again, you can argue that AEO and or geo or AI search is an evolution of SEO. There's a ton of overlap there, but there's a lot that doesn't matter from the old SEO world. I think getting a big like a link from a domain that just because it has a high domain authority, context is what matters a lot more now than quote unquote the domain authority of that link. So the context matters, the sentiment matters, and the ranking for the RAG that is being used, whether that RAG is Google or Bing or any other RAG sources, and the training of data, the corpus of data that the model is trained on. Different models are trained on different corpus of data, and how you're presented in that corpus of data, that tends to show in the results that we're getting. So sometimes the model will answer based on its training data, and sometimes it will have to get out there and grab information from the rack sources, the retrieval sources that it tends to look at and verify that the information is accurate. And more often than not, if you're not present in these sources, you're less likely to get the visibility that you're after here. Um, so that's I think authority here can we actually put out a report. It's called the AEO periodic table, where we're breaking down the specific variables and levers that actually impact a brand visibility or the lack of. And it breaks it down into very specific variables that we measured, and we see how each and every model uses and tracks these variables to define a brand visibility. It's a study based on thousands of prompts that we published a month ago. And again, we're leveraging that study to define a lot of the strategies that we deploy when it comes to AI search optimization.
And when you break it down for brands, because you mentioned the multi-million dollar keyword here, what will change for brands in the end of the day? Because what you're saying is what we did in the past as well, when it comes to search engine optimization, building a certain level of authority, getting context into the websites, making the UX count. But what does here fundamentally change for brands?
So it's essentially like I think Google remains the still the search giant, right? Like and it's the most used search engine in the world. It remains so. But Google itself is evolving. I mean, we saw AI Overview launched in May last year, and right now, a month ago, AI Mode came out, and it's currently in beta. If you want to use it, you can go into the Search Lab and try to enable it. And it's essentially Gemini sitting on top of the Google first page, right? The SERP, and it's giving you the answer that you're looking for. So the experience is shifting, and I think I won't be surprised if AI mode becomes the main Google mode in by the end of the year, if not sooner. Um, and we just need to be ready for that shift. So it's no longer just is Google like Google versus ChatGPT and LLMs. I think Google knows that there is a better experience by using these powerful LLMs to provide the answer that the user is looking for. People don't like searching; people like answers. And if you can get to the answers faster, and you can get to the intent faster, and get that answer personalized, I think it's a better experience. That's what Google is about. I think the challenge for Google is you have a $250 billion golden goose to protect. How are you going to lay ads in top of that experience? What would that mean in terms of copyrights, and in terms of hallucination, and in terms of every time Google makes a mistake, the internet goes crazy over it, right? Which is honestly unfair to Google. I think a lot of all of these other models make the same mistake. But back to Google here, it's I think ads and ad placements is going to be an interesting thing to see here. We've seen how they dealt with that with AI Overview. We haven't seen what that would look like with AI Mode. What does the integrity of the answer mean now? I think we're seeing players like Perplexity really focused on the integrity of the answer and not having that impacted by the ad. And that's one of the reason why Google people are not googling as much as they used to. I mean, that's a big statement here, but That's the reason why you would find Gen Zs going to TikTok over Google, or people, me and you using Perplexity and ChatGPT over Google, because the integrity of the answer, the top answer on Google, is just the most SEO'd answer, or the one that paid the most.
Right, but now with this AI search in Gemini on top, we are moving knee deep into the zero click era. I think I picked up this line from your speech in Texas as well. So this would mean traditional metrics like click through or anything else, they probably are obsolete by then. So if clicks no longer equal success, what KPIs are you seeing then that smart marketers rely on today? Where is the thinking shifting?
That's a really good point, because I think that we've historically like glorified the click as a metric. I'm getting this amount of traffic, so I'm getting this amount of clicks, paid per click. There's a whole industry, right, built around it. But I think with zero click experiences, we're losing. Google is no longer just that big referral engine, or it's also a visibility engine. This is where you can get your brand visible. So, but the purpose is not click. That's not what we're at as marketers. I think the purpose is conversions, organic growth, and conversions. So the click is, we might be getting less and less clicks now as Google gives the answer directly, but visibility matters, and maybe uh, this visibility would drive conversions directly and not a click, and you'll find users arriving through different mechanism, and through different, you will find more direct traffic now than you're finding referral Google traffic, just because people are not clicking anymore. But also, when people click, they're more likely to click to take the action rather than just click to consume information. They found a better experience where information can be consumed. So we're seeing a higher conversion rate with traffic coming from ChatGPT and Gemini than Google, just because people have already consumed the information that they need to consume, and they're there for action. And that's an important point to highlight. So it's we're after conversions, and we're not after clicks, and we need to also give more value to that visibility and measuring that visibility, which is something that we do with Goody.
We have to deep dive into Goody AI as well. But let me stick with the idea of changing experience, changing the metrics. I mean, there's a hidden barrier there. Do you think advertisers really understand the shift from measuring clicks to tracking conversations and authority? I mean, it took the internet 2 decades to understand that website visitors are not a metric. So, do you think many will stay trapped in these outdated paradigms and will probably ignore this paradigm shift? What's the barrier breaker you are applying to convince them to move the thinking from conversation, clicks to authority to visibility as a metric?
I think clicks are still valuable. All I'm saying is there is another important metric that is we're not paying attention to, which is our visibility, and are we being discovered or not. And we're people are asking questions. Actually, billions of people are asking questions to these LLMs every day, whether they realize it or not. There's close to 500 million on ChatGPT. Google came out and says there's a billion user for Gemini. Meta came out and says there's over a billion user for Llama as well. So we're actively dealing with billions of users. So these billions of users are asking these LLMs important questions, including and making buying decisions. And guess what? They're trusted a lot more than they trust other sources, just because it's a conversation, and that conversation is highly personalized, and it hasn't been tinted with ads yet. So people trust it a lot more. So this is a newly created digital shelf, and we need to pay attention to our visibility and discovery on that digital shelf, whether it's a click or not. Um, I don't think the Martech stack is fully developed there. That's literally why we've built Goody AI. But don't wait on Google Analytics and Search Console to give you the answer. I think Google is busy building the experience before it builds the tech stack wrapper around it to help you make sense of it and spend more dollars. Google even haven't figured out how the ad offering would fully look like there. Uh, so pay attention to the underlining shift, and attention lives on top of that. And we've built a technology that can enable brands to drive and boost visibility and discovery on these LLMs.
How do you do that?
Essentially, like, it starts with the way Goody works. It's a combination of things, but the way it works is we have a prompt system, and we prompt at scale, and we get back just a bunch of answers, and we analyze these answers, and we'll come back and tell you, here's the your visibility score. We have an index that we're doing across all brands, a visibility index, and a score that you get. You can see your score against competition, but you can see a deep dive into these thousands of prompts and prompts outputs and the citations and the mentions, whether in the corpus of data or the retrieval sources, and how it's all driving your visibility or the lack of. And it covers things like ranking, performance, sentiment, how you're ranking globally by language. It gives you all the information that you need to know how you're perceived by these models at scale. And again, a combination, as I said, of synthetic data and prompting at scale, and we're able to provide this data in a pretty accurate way that and give you the probability and the likelihood of you ranking as a brand.
Can you give me a use case example?
Yeah, if you open up ChatGPT right now, or Perplexity, or Gemini, and ask it any questions about the brands that we work with, you will find that the questions that matters for them, they are more likely visible for these questions. So one of the brands that we work with, that we love this brand. It's actually out of European brand, Steel Series. One of the If you ask ChatGPT, Perplexity, or Gemini, anyone that is listening to us right now, ask what are the best gaming headsets in the market today. Steel Series is likely going to be top three. If you're asked what are the best growth marketing agencies in the US, No Goods is likely going to be there. Probability on ChatGPT is about 30%. Probability on Gemini is 50%. Probability on Perplexity 65%. So it's different probability because we moved from deterministic code to probabilistic code. But we this is valuable, and it's driving quite a bit of leads for us, and it's also driving business and volume for Steel Series. And I can give you different examples of how brands are using this. And even within Goody, you can even track back the attribution of revenue, how much revenue we're making from this, all the way from impressions to attribution. And that's something that it can really like help people sort of get a sense of how valuable that new shelf is, and how many people are actually making decisions based on the conversation that they have with these LLMs.
Ah, I see. So, can you make it a bit more plastic? Where does
The New York background.
I love it. I
Hopefully,
miss it.
hopefully, if you want to keep it in the podcast, that's how we keep it real here.
Let's keep it real.
Yeah.
Um, Mustafa, how maybe if we make it a bit more plastic, how do you implement Goody AI? Just for our listeners to understand, what is it? How much of a dashboard is it? How much of a API
It's
is
again, I
it?
think you get a dashboard as a user. You get a dashboard, and you get a whole system that helps you really have control over your brand management across these LLMs. You can even optimize, you can track, you can analyze, you can pinpoint what's driving the visibility. You can pinpoint what are the opportunities that you need to write more about. What are the gaps? What are the challenges? What are the technical challenges? Because I think most people think about users using ChatGPT. How about operators and coming and crawling your websites? How about Manos coming and crawling your websites and taking an action in behalf of the users? A lot of the time, our the websites that we've built are built for humans and users navigating the internet. Is it built for agents taking actions in behalf of these users? And these agents are growing, and you're going to see more and more and more of them. We can see, like, billions of crawlers, or crawling sort of pings hitting websites, and the number is increasing. I think Versal just put out a report recently showing the number of, ChatGPT. Google is only fetching the internet and crawling the internet only 8 times over ChatGPT, but it's getting 30 times more traffic than ChatGPT. So the number of, like, the amount of AI crawlers out there that are, understanding and synthesizing information and bringing it back to end users is massive. And we haven't been optimizing our web for it. We haven't been optimizing our sites for it. So almost every brand that I meet, I can see, that they haven't even thought about that. Or when they do it, they just do, oh, let me just edit, make sure that my site loads. But yes, load time is amazing, but you will find that by default, a lot of websites actually block these crawlers. And then when you're blocking these crawlers, your information, you're not going to show up in deep search. Your information is not going to be retrieved, and your website loads slowly, or you don't have a robust text TXT file or LLM TXT file that actually tells you the specific information that you need in order to optimize for these LLMs and agents visibility. I think you're giving up an interesting opportunity that is viable and real for a lot of brands out there.
So Goody AI helps to optimize my pages for these LLMs. Plus, I get a dashboard that pulls the data from my backend, from my analytics, or where does the data come from so that you build a dashboard?
It's our data, so we give you the dashboard, and you can take an action. You can understand the citation, the retrieval sources, take an action on these, generate new content. It's an end-to-end platform to help you own and manage your brand visibility on AI search. I feel like I'm doing an ad for Giddy, but thank you for the question.
You're welcome. Uh, what do you think? How hard is it to get across to marketers, for example, the value of Goody AI and of the optimization for LLMs?
Marketers get it. Marketers are super smart. They see the shift, and they're super savvy, and they get it. I think there's a lot of skepticism. Is this is just SEO? And I think there is an overlap, but I think we should not mix that with the really the underlining shift that is happening here. Call it SEO 3.0 if it makes you feel better. But we still have visibility to track. We still have a MarTech stack to evolve, and we still have a playbook to rewrite to navigate the shift. So I
Great.
don't want to get too much involved, bogged down by this. I want to make sure that we're actually driving value for the brands that we're owning, and not get stuck, not get sort of stuck with the past and what we've built our career on. I think we can evolve. We can SEO would be sexier and better and more interesting. Honestly, I think right now we can understand these models a lot more than really chasing Google's algorithm, which felt like it's we're hunting. I feel like it's SEO attracts like a lot of hunters. It's like it feels like you're trying to piece a bunch of things together, and it's really on the edge of pseudoscience sometimes. And I think it's actually there is a challenge in the SEO industry, and I think AI search for the first time can be the solution for that challenge, where we're having a little bit more control. And the fragmentation of search is a great thing for all of us, because that gives us back the ability to control. And as these model competes, we'll get a better access at some point.
I was hoping that the shift to LLMs and to AIs in terms of search would fragment the market more and take away of Google's power a little bit. I don't think with the recent movements and with the speeds and how fast you can monitor and observe how Google is keeping up with OpenAI's model, I don't think that this will happen anymore. And I've been losing a little bit the hope that the market gets more open, more free, more wide. Google is taking back their share, so to say. What do you think?
I think 2025 Google is going to prove that it's not an easy company to mess with. I think we're starting to see that with recent Gemini release and a bunch of the other sort of amazing releases that they've done, and the integration now of Gemini inside the products. But we can't deny the change. I think there are companies like Perplexities and OpenAI and Claude and others that essentially grabbed market share from Google, whether we like it or not. And Google came out and is playing catch up now. That was not the case 5 years ago. 5 years ago, Google was the undisputed king, continues to be at the top, but it's now it's losing market share, and it's bleeding in certain areas and certain use cases. And search as a use case is evolving, and Google realizes that, and it's acting as fast as it can. It's a big company, but it got a business to protect. Other players, like they don't have a $250 billion ad business to protect while also getting out there and compete. So they're having a fight while holding a really heavy bag. But it's not an easy company to mess with, and they have a incredible moat. The browser that you and I speak on right now is Chrome. Some of the devices that many of us use are by Google. The network sometimes is by Google, and the operating system, Android, is by Google. And the analytics platform that are most used by marketers is by Google. The biggest ad platform, the own YouTube, the second biggest search engine, or the third in the world now. It's Google is not a company to mess with, and everyone knows that. They are poking at Google right now, but also it's as Satya put it. He said the goal is to get Google to come out and dance, and Google has been dancing for the past 2 years to find how they're going to navigate this shift, and that's good for the consumer.
I hope this is good for the consumer. I would love to see more innovation coming out of different companies and other companies than just Google and the other big five or the big five at all. I would really love to see that. But look, from a European perspective, and I share both perspectives in the US and the perspective in Europe. From a European perspective, I'm sometimes glad that the European Union and the Commission looks a little bit into this market and says, well, let's see if the AI Act can help to maybe not let one participator get too powerful, and let's promote open innovation. Let's promote more competition, et cetera, et cetera. How do you see this from a US perspective?
That's an interesting question. Well, I'm 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 very pro open market and innovation. So I think the better the environment, the more entrepreneur you will attract, and the more investment you'll attract, and the better it is for the consumer at the end. But there has to be some guardrails, and Europe is really good at the guardrails, probably too good at the guardrails sometimes. They just need to balance the other side of it and understand the needs for these entrepreneurs and investors, and the markets, and listen to that side as much as they protect. So you gotta enable and protect, and these two things go hand in hand. The balance is hard, especially when politics is at play. But I really think that the world benefits from Europe's perspectives on sort of like regulations and how to really like sort of put these AI companies and big tech in check. I think we need more of that, but at the same time, Europe needs to find the balance with enabling its ecosystem to actually truly compete and not get crushed by the U.S. and China, which is it's also
That's an
that's
interesting
what
point.
happened over the past 20 years. And name if you look at the top 50 tech companies in the world,
Speaking
it's
of the
hard to
past,
find a European one.
yes, speaking of the past 20 years, look, we met at this house by in Austin, and it was for me the first time since 2010, probably, that people from the US, entrepreneurs, innovators, even people from the corporate environments, they told me and said, look, we are putting a lot of trust now in the EU again, in the Commission again, because you have to clean up the mess that is happening right now. And again, I must say, as a European, this is a fundamental shift. I haven't seen this for such a long time. I think 2012, after the Lehman Brothers issue, um, I've been hearing this for the first time, really for the first time. So that's a quite interesting take. Just a year or 2 years ago, everything was like, or everyone was like, "Hey, Europe, you guys are done. Sorry, come to the US, do your business here." And what I heard at his house from many American friends, colleagues, partners, venture investors, startups, they were looking towards Europe with different eyes now. This is fascinating.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
No, I love to hear it. And I think we're seeing a lot of, in the marketing space, we're seeing a lot of martech companies out of Europe, a lot of great AI companies out of Europe. I obviously, like, I'm building my company in New York for a reason in terms of talents, and I find New York and the Valley to be competitive in many ways. But I think we need more New York and more Silicon Valley everywhere else around the world, and I think that's better for the end consumer for sure.
I love that. I share that with you. Mustafa, let's pivot to a little bit more personal. You've seen the industry shift dramatically. Tell me, what's one what's the one personal barrier you've had to break to evolve your approach to get ahead of the game? How do you do it, and what kind of barrier do you see, and how do you shift them?
It's honestly like a natural muscle. I'm very curious and I'm obsessive learner. So I wake up every day and I have to read something, learn something, and pay attention to the things I'm wired by. I, it's a game for me. I love to be curious and continue to channel that curiosity and with the things I love doing. And um, I think that's what keeps me going, and that's what keeps me learning. So if I stop that curiosity and learning and navigating that really fun game, it's gotten really exciting with AI and what's happening, and try to do that while just maintaining our values and doing that in a way that is net positive. So it's but the main thing is curiosity and never stop learning. And then when you do that over a long period of time, you tend to break barriers. It just naturally happens. And surround yourself by like interesting problems and interesting people, because you are who you play with. So at No Good, we work with the best companies in the game, and we've always had the most challenging growth problems. So we had companies tell us like, "What are we going to do about ChatGPT?" I'm like, "Well, now that's a challenge. Let me get out there and tackle that challenge." If I'm working with companies that are focused on what was interesting 10 years ago, and I would probably not be doing this. So it's choosing the type of problems you want to solve, and the type of companies you want to work with, and then remaining curious and always learning. And I had to learn AI engineering myself over the past 3 years. And again, I'm engineer by trade, and just you know I've coded a bunch of things throughout my career, but for the most part, I've been, a marketer and CEO, and not a full-time engineer. I would say mediocre engineer that I've gone into marketing, right?
Oh,
So,
wow.
so the past 2 years having to learn and build and prototype some features with the team, I think has been really exciting. I haven't been doing that as much as I should, and maybe that will be hopefully a way to potentially break barriers.
I feel you, and I love that. So what you're saying is there's real power, uh, uh, how thought leaders evolve. There's real power in listening, learning, continuous learning, and curiosity, probably, very likely. I think it's the curiosity part that really sets people apart and differentiates a lot. This is really great. But don't you have sometimes the minute where you say, "Shit, I've lost track on that. How can
Oh
I
yeah,
get
all the
out?"
time. Oh my god, all the time. I mean, you wake up every day and there's like way too much to cover, especially in the AI world. Like there's so much happening that you need to keep up with. And yes, I feel like I lose it all the time, like lose the pulse on things all the time, and I have to learn and unlearn. And that's why I hire people who are smarter than me and people that I can learn from. One big thing in my interviews is that I have to learn from you. I need to find people that are gonna call me out when I get out there and say, you know what, shit that doesn't make any sense anymore. I want to be called out. I want to learn. I want to surround myself with smart people. So it's not just about what I do with my own little brain and sort of the curiosity that I do, because there's just one person. You just need to surround yourself with a lot of other curious people and curious minds, and create the environment, that true meritocracy where the best ideas win. And you also gonna learn. You're learning collectively as team is gonna compound. So
There's a little game on breaking barriers. It's leaning into the idea of providing a front row seat for the audience to all the shifts that are happening. But this game is about the barriers that you have to shift.
I like to talk a lot about brand discovery and visibility and how to break barriers with that. But in reality, last week I had to delete TikTok and Instagram because I want to bring my attention back to just reading books and really like focus on sort of improving my attention span rather than having it tied to an algorithm. Even though, so I focus a lot on brand discovery and visibility on AI search and social search. I had to get part of the social part of my life.
Great. Well, so but that's a very brilliant example. I think this already wraps up our little, I must say, mind expanding episode here. I think we covered everything from what Goody AI is doing, how you help marketers, how you help companies and brands to cope with the shift that LLMs are causing, that Google's AI search is doing and causing. I think we cope with what does it mean when we talk about authority and visibility, the KPI change. I really love that. That you kind of say, hey, look, Google will be there and will stay in the game and ahead of the game because it's Google in the end of the day. And we just ended up with that curiosity is probably the main driver for every thought leader, for everyone in the leadership segment, um, to get ahead, to stay ahead, and to stay on top. So I really like that. Mustafa, what do you think? Do you have any famous words?
No, no. I mean, this is awesome. This is great. I know we met at a talk in South by, and it's. I love sort of like showing up here and nerding out on interesting topics. And thank you for having me here and asking me interesting questions and a chat here in the early morning. Appreciate it.
Awesome, Mustafa. I think don't we see each other in London in June sometime at the
Yes,
South by
yes.
London?
We have a talk at South by in London about the same topic. We'll be releasing some new product updates and research on the space. So super excited for London in June. South by Southwest London. It's the first one.
Okay, so Mustafa, see you in London, and I just say bye bye by breaking barriers. See you soon.